And it's time for another Sunday scan again. Welcome back, and thank you guys for watching these. I do appreciate everybody that does come out, play them, watch them, and provide great feedback. It's a lot of fun to do them. I learn a lot about myself as a trader, as you know, I continually repeat things that I know that I have difficulty with, and it helps me when I verbalize all of these things. So I do these for my own personal reasons, because it really drives home the point as to which ones I should be focusing on for my trades on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. But also I really enjoy getting the feedback, the comments, and all that good stuff from you guys, knowing that maybe you took one step further into your trading career because of something that was said, or something that you saw, or something that finally clicked. So first and foremost, we don't have the wonderful backdrop today back at home. However, we do have a beautiful backdrop of Momo Trader books, and like I said, we're going to give one away. So we are going to give it away. I might get this one. It seems like a French name, but Riley Robichaud. It's kind of got Michaud in between there. But go ahead and email me, webmaster@investorsunderground.com. We will send you out a book. If I can get it back in there. And we will also send a t-shirt to TOV. So if you email me, we'll send you off a t-shirt as well. And like I said, we've got these things all, heading out next day, each and every single day. So not necessarily next day, but not next month, 2 months, 3 months like before, because John at Loyal Brands has been helping us out a big way. I just forward them over the email. So when you do email me, send me your address and your size. That way I don't have to email you back and ask you what size and what's your address. So last week was awesome. Finally, like I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, is been like, put your hands under, sit on your hands and just, relax. There was some really, really big trades, and I actually found myself getting kind of negative in my conversations. I always kind of preach, surround yourself with positivity, and, don't be that shoulda, coulda, woulda, and always negative, right? You always see people on Twitter who are either having a hard time, are unprofitable as traders, never have been successful as traders. You see, what they say on Twitter, right? Nobody is that mad if they're successful. You see the same thing with, political stuff going back and forth, just people every hour continually going back and forth, pointless. Think about that time, and this isn't a political conversation at all, but it's just a good example of the time people spend on that, or defending a company where you've been trading for 2 months and you really have no idea, but you are spending countless hours on Twitter defending this position where you have a $1,200 position or something, and you really don't have a clue. Think about all of that time, all of that negative energy that you could put into something else. And so that's what I was thinking about this weekend. I was talking to Josh Cherniak, and he's a very positive person as well. And if he ever has difficulty in the market, he just disappears for a day. He resets, refocuses, and comes right back. And so when I talked to him, I kind of noticed and same thing with Eric Wood and a couple other people that I talk with. It wasn't that it was bad weeks. It was just I was starting to get a little annoyed that I was minimizing my day. And, to anybody else, if you go back 6 months, or not 6 months, maybe a year, I would die for days like this or weeks like this. And now I find myself sometimes complaining if I'm not keeping pace of what it was before. And then I said, you know what, no more of that. No more of that. It's been a fantastic year. I'm just going to wait for those setups to come. I'm not going to be like, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I only made X. I could have made 10X. I could have done this, could have done that. Nobody likes that conversation. And when you surround yourself with those types of people with the negative energy, it's going to come off on you, or they're just not going to want to talk to you. So just always remember that when you're seeking help, when you're on Twitter, when you're doing whatever, the way in which you speak online, the way in which you speak to others is really, it's telling to the other person. So think about what you could do better to bring a positive light to any conversation that you're having or anything towards Twitter. There's a lot of negative people on there, and I always just kind of laugh. Especially Nicola. This past week, there's a lot of people that got smoked on the wrong side of the trade, defending it all the way down. And, sometimes you just got to realize that you might have it wrong. There's also a lot of unknowns right now. Maybe the company comes back and they have, the semi-truck racing around a racetrack, and they prove otherwise. Who knows? But right now, it's very hard to take a stance one way or the other. It looks pretty bad. But fantastic trades if you respected the trend, if you respected the fact that every single time it should have rebounded, it stayed heavy. So keep that in mind, and just remember that you want to surround yourself with positive people. If you are always talking to somebody and it's always just negative energy, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. You want to be focused on positive. You want to be focused on the solution. And that's what's going to get you further in your career rather than just, always having to pick somebody up because they're down and because their outlook is negative too, right? If it's 9 a.m. and it's like, I'm still thinking about Friday and negative. That's where that idea of, next, get over it. There's nothing you can do. So that fact that somebody's already saying shoulda, coulda, woulda, still not over Friday, could have done this, I should have done this, I should be trading a lot better, that's going to negatively influence you, and it's going to cause you to kind of get off path. And so this past 2 weeks, the other thing too that I noticed is from a personal perspective, I've got a 4-month-old now. And so I pretty much promised that for the first 2 months I would do, whatever was needed. And, the time, even if it kind of coincided with market prep and things like that. But start to get into 3 months and 4 months, and you need to start to either involve others or, figure out something, because as, this job, it entails a lot of, energy, and you have to be in the right mindset. And sometimes it's just that doing nothing in the morning just to kind of rezone in, refocus, and really get prepared for the day that you need. And it's kind of hard to explain. Yeah, sitting at your desk or standing at your desk 20 minutes doing nothing, or taking a mindless walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes before market open. It may not seem like much, and yeah, you could watch the baby and that's debatable, but that time is really time that you need to clear your head and really start to zone in and get prepared, because our job is crazier than pretty much every job out there as far as the potential stress and the amount of brain capacity that it entails during the day, and if you are not in the right mindset, and if you are not prepared correctly, then it's just going to be a slippery slope downward, and you're always going to be a negative person. You're always going to be shoulda, coulda, woulda, and never enough. So with that said, the last 2 weeks I've been way more prepared, and before it was like hand off Aiden at 8:30 a.m., 8:40 a.m., do the broadcast, and like really the prep, yeah, I was at the computer, but I wasn't really zoned, and the prep was really only 10, 15 minutes of solid, like mindless, okay, let me get prepared. And it was kind of rushed. And over the last 6 months, I didn't really notice anything, or the last 3-4 months, because every day there's like 900 plays, like I've said, and it's very easy to just find a couple and that's it. But now it's about being prepared. And as you guys saw with the work idea and the NKLA idea over the last 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, if I wasn't prepared and had that conviction, man, I would have missed a major trade. And the same thing with work. Work, perfect. And that's all just as simple as setting price alerts, staying familiar with moves, seeing the action in prior days, and then just waiting for it. Not forcing it, waiting for it. And look at the difference between work and WKHS on Friday, where you want that power move out of the open. One goes up, starts to pull back, fails. The other one goes up, pulls back, starts to consolidate, pulls back, consolidates higher. You have to be able to recognize the difference between those two. You want to focus on the one that's doing what you expected. You want to not scale in and potentially avoid and or take off the one that is, not doing as expected. So that was the thought, to kind of start the scan off. I actually meant to talk about Traders for a Cause first, but I forgot. I will get to that in a minute. However, just think about that, especially, when you're having conversations with all your trader buddies, and if you've got a friend that you always talk to, or a group that you always talk to, if you are that negative person, change, because it's obvious, it's obvious, and nobody really wants to go that route. If you're firing and you're killing it, you don't want that negative energy. So don't be that negative person. Don't be that negative energy that comes to the party. Because it's going to rub off on everybody else, and then they're going to say, okay, who's the weakest link? Get rid of negative energy and focus on positive. And then you're out. You're out. So anyway, I realized that this week when I was starting to kind of just be upset that I made only X and it should have been 10X. And so I nipped that in the bud real quick, and that was it. Traders for a Cause. Wore the shirt today. We are doing the same thing that we did on COVID. I think that was, I guess, 5 months ago or so now. We only promoted it for a week. About a week and maybe 10 days. And we had over 10,000 people register. We had 3,000 people concurrently logged in, viewing it, and many thousands other after watching it. That was before all these new COVID traders and everything. So I feel like this might be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, virtual trading conferences that has ever taken place. And it is free. So the good part about that is, when we did the COVID, it's obviously it's Traders for a Cause. It's for charity. So we're trying to pay it forward. And if you like it, then you can donate some money. If you learn something, $5, $10, $20, $100, $500, whatever you want, it adds up. And during the COVID virtual event that we did, we raised over $180,000 in a day for us, and we combined it with another group that did it the prior day or the prior week, which was another $100,000. So just shy of $200,000, and it was phenomenal. So I hope you will enjoy. Or at least join us, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. But it's tradersforcause.org and /T4AC20. And I will have a link in the description. So I do hope that you guys will be part of that. It is free, like I said. If you enjoy it, donate. And it's kind of our way of paying it forward and then hopefully raising a bunch of money for Breast Cancer Research Foundation, as well as a few other beneficiaries, which we're actually going to be, the sooner you're on the list, the more input you can give to us, because we're going to start to survey everybody that's going to be attending to figure out which ones, where you'd like a little bit of the other money that we raise going. And we'll vet out whatever charities are best in those themes, and we'll be putting those as well as other beneficiaries. So other than that, review from last week. Once again, I think we got one person to try Avidity Fitness. Guys, throw in a little bit of working out 4 times a week into your routine. There will be a link here. DM Zach. Hit him up and say you want to join it. It's 4 times for free. Everybody that's done it, except maybe like 2 people, are still doing it. So you can go 4 times, and I guarantee you will enjoy it. And if you don't, then, whatever. Close the lid on the laptop. Uh, Kodak, CODX, Codex. Bounce idea last week on scan, $8. It's now over 13. Also APT, VXRT with it. Really, really nice bounce idea last week. That was over 40, 50, 60%. KCAC, swing short idea. That was the one from Friday. And then on Tuesday, I said I was looking to fade it as long as 22 held as the top. It went as low as mid-16s on Friday. I covered 1/2 when I noted, and I tweeted that out. Hopefully it continues to fade off, but another fantastic, I guess, $4, $5, $6 per share fade. Waking up prepared. I kind of hit upon it. Work in NKLA. Monsters. If you showed up and you were prepared, you nailed them. And work did exactly what was expected. And when it does exactly what is expected, you just keep on adding into each time it confirms. What does confirmation mean? What do you mean by every time it confirms? So if you're expecting it to ramp up, fail to follow through, fail to follow through, fail to follow through, each time it fails, I want to scale into the next level until it either flushes, where I want to be there to cover some, or it starts to kind of base and maybe curl up. At that point, my risk has gone up, my edge has gone down, and I want to size down. So that was a fantastic trade, and would not have traded that without such a good average if I was not prepared from the night before. So don't just show up in the morning and get your ideas. There is so many more with such less risk if you're focused and prepared. I think that was it for positive mindset. Take time for yourself. Pre-market, I kind of hit upon that. So don't underestimate just the power of doing nothing and kind of zoning in pre-market. It's needed, I'm telling you. Wake up a little bit earlier, get to the desk a little bit earlier. It's fine to check things early, make a couple notes, set some price alerts, and then go off the computer for 30, 40 minutes, come back, see where things are at, and progress from there. The other thing too that I feel is most important, and always my Mondays and some other days, is don't be so like gotta get in. You don't need to trade pre-market. Yes, sometimes there are. There was a period of probably 6 months where you needed to get up at like 5, 6 a.m. and get ready for things and potentially trade, get borrows, all that kind of stuff. But don't force those trades pre-market, because if you do, and I fight this every single day. You want to get in there. You don't want to miss out. It flushes out. And you're like, oh, I knew it. I should have just hit it. And then you hit it, and then it goes whoop right back up to where it was, right where you wanted it. But now instead of being on the offensive, you're on the defensive, and you've got to be like, oh crap, got a bad average. I don't have a lot yet, but I don't really want to add because my average kind of sucks, and you don't want to be doing that. You want to be, prepared. You want to be focused off the open and not focused prior. So when you end up coming into market open, you're like this. This one A+ setup easy. This one A+ setup easy. But nope, you're right here. You're focused, and you probably break even. You probably happy to break even anyway. And then these two that were A+ setups, the works, the NKLAs, perfect trades. Meanwhile, you're fighting Tesla because there was no edge, but you were just afraid to miss it. So that always happens on Monday. Always. I see it all the time. That's why we have these huge moves, because everybody's got pent up demand from the weekend and they want to get involved ASAP. So hands off, wait for it. If it's heavy volume pre-market, yeah, I'll trade it sometimes. But if I miss it, I miss it, because I know that it's a subpar trade at that point. One last thought, and this was with my buddy Tyler, who helps me with IU, but also a trader as well. But NKLA, and this is something that I learned from Phil Godecker. You can learn from everybody, right? This was many years ago. I used to always take things off radar when I wanted them to gap up, be green, and then fade red. And I always used to take them off, and I'm like, damn, I missed the unwind. It's because, I had gapped down, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to take it off radar. And you don't do that, because if you expected it to unwind $2 and it's only down 50 cents, you still got a $1.50 move potential, right? That you were prepared for. It's just not gapping like your ideal entry would have been. So same thing with Ty on Friday, NKLA. He was like, I just have a hard time chasing it down here. But really, you just look left, look at the prior resistance lines. Yeah, you're not going to size as much as you might have sized on something like work when I was prepared for it, and it did exactly what I expected. But you can have a starting point, you size in, you scale in each time that it fails. Don't take things off radar just because they gap down. That's really a key thing, because you are leaving a lot on the table just because you're waiting for perfection. If you wait for perfection, you're going to miss a lot. So that's it for the starter scan. Let me get right into what we're going to be watching for Monday. All right, guys. So this week I have a couple main watches. As you guys know, 1, 2, 3, 4 main watches. So usually by morning, 2 of those are my main watches, and then I have 2 more, 1 or 2 more. So off the open, and just like I do every single morning at 8:50 a.m. on the microphone, which last time I said make sure you're in there. A lot of people ask me how to get in there that are members because they just haven't been hitting the link. Every single morning, 8:50 a.m., I do a broadcast. Just click the link. I go on the microphone, share my screen, and I talk through exactly what I'm looking for, any positions that I have and or am looking to get in. But each morning, I go through a bunch, but then I come back to 3. 2, 3, or 4 max. So you can be familiar with 20, familiar with 15, set those price alerts up so you're not watching them every single second and your head's going all over the place, and focus on those 3 or 4. And so anyway, right now I've got obviously a full scan of ideas, but I am only 100% focused on 4 right now, and then I will minimize it from there based on pre-market activity, action, etc. Regular scan note. If you go to the description, click below, come through to the website, Investors Underground, you'll see the link for the blog. I also have other watches that I'm going to have price alerts for. That's how, got PTON. That's how I got the pen short. That was one that I had been watching for a while. And so I started to swing short it on Thursday, scaled into the winner on Friday, and, we pretty much closed at the low of days. So I'm starting to do that more. I'm adapting to the current market. Still keeping my main center point account as just cash every single day, but then I'm trading another Wedbush account that I'm kind of expanding my horizons a little bit and doing a little bit more swing shorts, not on low floats, but just and even some longs, but just a little bit different than what I typically do. Just because in this market, sometimes you just got to be there. For the overnight. DraftKings was one that, was a nice $2, but you would have missed that move if you didn't get that $2 gap down day, which was fantastic. So, NNOX, I'm going to be watching this one. You can see that it pulled back right into VWAP, held trend, nice little ABCD setup, and, we can always draw lines and make it easier for you guys, but you can see here, came back up, starts to base at VWAP, curls up, and breaks that prior high. So you got the ABCD, breakout, and continuation. Not a trade I took. However, great example of it. So anyway, for something that I'm going to be looking to trade, gap up, 70, 75, parabolic, reactive trade, potential pullback. Otherwise, for new traders, I would want to see it kind of peak out at this 65, 64 level, fail, and then look to get part of the trade. I don't want to be, start in, add, get blown out to 80, and then wish I had just waited, right? So sometimes it's better to be in $1 or $2 lower than 2, 3, 5 too early. Apple pretty straight consolidation after hours. They've got the event on Tuesday, so Look, it's always everybody gets excited. You got to buy for it, just like everybody had to buy for the split. Just be cautious. If this is heavily loaded up into that event and it's anything but awesome, it's going to unwind. So far, our thought process has been that we're going to go back towards the July 31st mark. That's what I've been saying for the last couple Sunday scans now. And we're not there yet, but Tesla did that. I said all these types would potentially correct towards that range, and so we had some nice pullback towards almost that range. But this is healthy, just like I said the last couple scans. The video scans. We look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, there's no way it can. But when it's going straight up, we don't think anything else. That we don't think that it's odd. And then when it comes down, we're like, oh my gosh, how can it pull back this much? Well, how can it go up that fast? So just understand that this is healthy. And in my opinion, there's not much panic out there, I wouldn't say. I just think that there's a whole new rotation of money coming in, and a whole new rotation of money coming out of tech into other names. Rotate out of those, come back into tech. Who knows? We don't know what the transition is going to be yet, but the key is just to realize that there is a transition of wealth from tech into some of these different types of sectors, just like we talked about on Codex, APT, mRNA, NVAX, all these other ones where they would not downtick for 3-4 months. The rotation was into those, and then all of a sudden it just straight down, rotation out. So Apple is going to be a big one. The way that I look at a trade like this is I pull up the intraday chart and see the prior day's range, but I don't really think that there's going to be too much of a move unless we're over the 114 level and we're under the 110. So that's the key area where I think that it's going to have a trend reversal. But in the meantime, I think we're just going to have a lot of consolidation type days. I think we can have unwind and panic under the 110. I think we can have, thin action and, trappy action over the 114 level. Otherwise, you have to trade it reactively. You zone in a little bit more, and, you can kind of see that there's a pretty good consolidation pattern between, basically 111 and 112.50. So if you're looking to scalp it, I'd be looking for rips through there to pull back, or flushes under there to come back. The only time that you saw me trade it was into the panic mode down here into the 110s on Friday. And you can go back and do the whole looking left thing and kind of get a feel for why that level was key and why there's a good chance that they rescue that 110 level. It's tested it 3 times now, and a lot of times they might want to breach it and then come back over it. We see that all the time with VWAP. So always look left. It's going to help you guys. But I like Apple as a main watch just because it's been good to me the last couple of days, and I think I want to stay familiar for when it has the event. I want to be at least knowing how it traded on Monday so I can trade it better on Tuesday. And let's see what happens from there. NKLA, crazy. I've been perfect, anticipating the range, expecting particular gap ups. Friday's goal was a $2 push on any rebuttal. They didn't really have a good rebuttal, but they said they were going to have a rebuttal, and they said it was all crap. So we had that 2 push, and then the goal was 28 to 32. And I mean, we got to about 30 intraday, and then we got to, 30.50s, but then we got down to 30.20s or 30.30s after hours on Kramer. So we might be open in 28, 29, something like that. We'll see. But anticipated range has been perfect. So hopefully I continue to have a solid read on it. But given the fact that it's been 3 days in a row in like picture perfect reads on it, so that to me usually means put the brakes on a little bit, start focusing on other names. Because sometimes if I get too heavy a conviction, I'll start to believe everything I'm thinking, should be true. And then that's when I start to, go backwards. So I just want to be aware that I've had a good read on it and be aware that no matter what I think, price action trumps all. So if I am wrong with the read, I need to be wrong because that's when I'm going to be sized in and it's going to squeeze me out, right? But, looking left, what are the key levels? Very easy here, okay? So 3250s, I think it's pretty clear that that would be a key level. That was also the VWAP level. So if we had a gap up, I'd want to see a test of at least that level. I would not want to get sized up before that level test, because if I'm sized up prior to that level testing, then I might be covering into this push, and then that would be useless. The other key level is going to be this 3080s level, 3080s. And so we'll see what happens with that. But those are the two key levels for me. Hopefully we have some type of reactive trade. I currently have a few of them short still. I covered some into Kramer after hours, but I pretty much held this thing short all day, trading around that core. Work was fantastic. Work was an example of one that I was prepared for from the night before. And, you can just do a simple looking left. Obviously, we had the earnings day over here, but the goal was that we ideally have a gap up and rush through this level, failed follow through, and then potentially come back. And you can see, I pretty much held the prior base, and, once again, base again. So those are going to be the key levels for Monday. In a perfect world, though, that's too wide for me. So in a perfect world, I like to look at right about here where you can see all this consolidation, all these tops, and then right around here where you can see all this base. So I'd be looking to fade it under 25.40, and I'd be looking to potentially, if this thing starts to base at 25.70s, 25.80s, then I would potentially look for the breakout back up and potential squeeze. Let's see. Now, Dphc. Dphc is another SPAC that's been going wild. I saw a couple great calls in the room. A couple people have been riding it. But really nice move. Regardless, nice ABCD type setups, and the wicks that we talk about, but, easier said than done. You're not going to hold that whole thing. But every single day, it just gapped up and kept on going. So I put on a small short right around this level on Friday, immediately flushed out. It was getting close, and then they just pulled the bid, and it flushed out $2 per share. I added a little bit on the pullbacks. It started to kind of grind, and I went ahead and took those ads off. So I put a few back on into the close, into the strength, but not a big position. Basically, I want to be there. I'm expecting it to gap up, and sometimes I get the questions, why are you short if you think it's going to go up? In the event that it gaps down, I'll be there. I can add faster. I'm not positioned in a sense that I'm going to get blown out. I am just there. I know I want to be there eventually. I know a trade's coming, so I want to make sure that I don't miss it. Same thing with Penn, same thing with Overstock, and all these other names. Zodx, not to be confused with Kodak. They have a 10 a.m. presentation on the 14th, which is tomorrow. So I think that is a no-brainer, probably short, unwind, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's on the same page. That's why it's here. Everybody's going to be looking for the same thing tomorrow. That's why I think that it could hang around a little bit longer. So the key here is that let everybody else get there. Let everybody else get squeezed out. Let everybody else short. Wait for it to kind of do its thing, push everybody out, do its thing, push everybody out again. And when they forget about it, don't forget about it. And you might see this thing fade back towards 10 over the next week, maybe a little bit longer. However, everybody that was short and sized up is going to be gone, and forget about it because they're just pre-exhausted. We talk about pre-exhaustion. This is one of those types where I think people are too heavily positioned, too obvious. Short the 10 a.m. call, tomorrow, and it's that easy. And then if it doesn't pull back, they're going to be like, uh-oh. And then it might have that next leg up, 14, 15, maybe a little bit higher, 15 parabolic. And then that's when I really, really get interested. Otherwise, set price alerts on the way down. So if it goes to 15, set price alert 1450, 1420, 14, 1380s, 1350s. One of those, you're going to remember it. And one of those, you're going to get back in there and you're going to get that nice $2 fade when it's off everybody else's radar. Penn and Etsy, both higher the better. I guess I can split these up. So Penn, perfect trade on Friday. Nice failed fall through momentum right off the gate. VWAP failed. I am looking for a retest towards that 60 level and then potential unwind back under there. Etsy, the one thing that really interests me here is look at these candles, right? These are the opposite of what I look for when I want to get long, right? I'm looking for the dip, the wick comes up, the wick comes up. And these are ramp up, get sat on, ramp up, sat on, ramp up, sat on. So what does that mean? That means there's somebody pressuring this thing down. There's somebody selling this thing. So if it busts over 117s, 118s, we probably get a nice squeeze. But until then, I want to assume that there's a huge seller in here and that we could potentially unwind under 110 here soon, back into the 90s or something like that. So using those same wicks, only on the flip. BFRA. You can see the difference between having paper ready and not having paper ready. So, before it ramped up on 1 million shares, and now it can't even move up on 30 million shares. So, great trade. I shorted into the failed fall through momentum in the room on Friday. I held it most of the day, and I still held some just in case it wants to gap down and continually unwind. So, small position for me, but still there. Let the winner work. Covered most of it. And we'll see what happens. Last couple, Chewy. Chewy I have under the continuation and bounce watch section. Continuation and bounce watch, the reason for that is, normally it'd probably be failed fall through momentum, but it's gone 75 to 55. I'm thinking that I could potentially play it for failed fall through momentum if we gap up and it fails off 55. But at this point, I'm going to be watching it to flush out. And I'm thinking it could gap down. And if it gaps down, I'd be watching for it to flush under 50 and maybe recover back to 55, something like that. So that's why it's under the bounce continuation watch. However, I think it's going to go lower first. PRTH, no position. I did have a position in this thing, and it had like a huge move, and then it sat back down. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to deal with that. If you guys remember the last video when I went over, maybe it was 2 videos ago, but I talked about this type of setup, and you've got that huge volume day, and then you look for the wicks. Well, you had that huge volume day here, and then you have wicks getting bought up. So I'm interested. So obviously looking left, this you should assume that it's going to fail at 3 every single time. But I'm interested, dips. I want to dabble in there, and maybe we see this thing at 4, 5, 6 here in the short term. Somebody positioned that day, and from that point forward, they either took out the seller or, something's changed. And I'm recognizing that, looking left, you can see how big of levels we're testing. And, if we do get through those levels, we've got a lot of room to run. So interested, I will be probably present on dips if trend holds, risk 260, 270s for me. Last but not least, EQ. Known chart. They've got delusion of sorts, but they've probably blown through it by now. Starting to curl off the bottom. Same kind of situation as the CODX kind of idea. The same thing with the APT idea from video scan last time. I am just watching because, look, everybody knows these stocks. And when they drop a PR, when there's a bounce, everybody's going to, come right back out. And so if you've got alerts going off and you see them sneaking up, sometimes it's a good risk reward to sneak in there. Then when they go, you can add faster. You already have a padding. And, that obviously worked with CODX and APT and a few others. So, again, description under the description part of YouTube, you can click over to Investors Underground to the scan, the actual link of the scan. There's a staying familiar and price alert section. So I just have another handful, maybe a dozen actually, of charts that I will actually set price alerts for tomorrow morning. And the reason for that is because I know that I want to trade them at some point soon. They just might not be ready yet, or I just want to see certain key levels fail. And when they do, I'll be interested and I'll be alerted. So that's it for tonight. Please leave a like. That helps us. Please leave a comment. Your biggest takeaway from Scan tonight. If you have any questions, reach out. You can post them below. And hope you guys enjoy this video. And we'll catch you in the room tomorrow. And don't forget, Traders for a Cause. tradersforacause.org/T4AC20. The link will also be in the description. 100% free. We will be announcing a bunch of speakers soon, but it's about a month away, and it's going to be even better than last one, which was just blew a lot of people away. So great speakers, great content, all free, all for a cause, and I hope that you'll join us. We weren't able to do it in Vegas. I mean, technically we could do it in Vegas this year, but it just wouldn't be the same. So I think it's our 7th annual, if I can count right, 7th annual conference. So we've been doing this. We've already done 6 years of it in Vegas, and it's just been amazing, and you meet a lot of great people. But I do hope that you guys at least come and get a taste of what we do. I think you'll be impressed. And anyway, links in the description. See you guys there, and have a good rest of the weekend. Go Pats and Buccaneers, I guess.